Hello there. Last Sunday, a delegation of believers, a man of God and his team, about five of them, knocked at the door to share the word of God with me. I ushered them in, but before they started talking, I asked them if I was permitted to ask a question. They said free, sure. So I asked them why they are preaching the gospel. They had several answers. One of the answers that they wanted to save unbelievers from hell. So I said, what happens to those who die without hearing the gospel? They said, among the answers, but the man of God concluded, and he concluded rightly by saying that those who have not heard the gospel can't be punished, can't be sentenced to hell because they didn't have the opportunity to hear the gospel. That was a rightful answer. And it was less radical than the answer that came from some of his subordinates. And I said, okay, so if those who have not heard the gospel won't be condemned to hell because they did not have the opportunity of hearing something and being able to believing in the thing they heard, which is a very reasonable thing, without which it would make the biblical God a tyrant. So they can't go to hell because they were not preached the gospel. Why then do you preach the gospel to people? Because by preaching the gospel, you establish guilt in them. Because now they have heard and they are obliged to either believe or disbelieve and go to hell. So why preach it at all? Because by doing so, you establish guilt, as I said. And I got no answer from that. So I asked them the question differently. What happens to a child who is born, never get the gospel? And this applies to all religions, Muslim, Islam, whatever religion it is. A child born without getting the word of God, the word of Allah, the word of Buddha, the word of whatever. What happens to that child when he dies? Heaven or hell? How would that child be judged? Without preaching God to a child, is the child condemned? Put it differently. This would go to mothers, fathers, even. Same thing. Take a keen look at your newborn. When the child attains the age of reason, as from maybe two, 1.5, the child starts walking. Does that child already know what is wrong and right? Does he know how to distinguish from wrong and right? Yes or no? They said yes. The child said, good answer. Because if you meet a child eating, for example, and you say, what are you doing, with some kind of a scary face, a scornful manner, you tell him that some kind of scorn, as if he's doing, he or she's doing something wrong, the child just keeps on eating because he knows he's doing nothing wrong. On the other hand, if you meet a child that has maybe taken something he's not supposed to take, without you even telling him or her, he didn't have to take what he has taken. And you say, what are you doing? Or even without you saying what are you doing, you see the child, what would he or she do? You see some guilt in the child. Either he puts his hand to the back or he tries to hide what he has taken by some other means. Because in every human being, there is God from birth. There is God from birth. The intensity of God, the kind of God I'm referring to, is the conscience that knows right from wrong. In all human beings, religion does not teach right or wrong. You are born with it. The conscience brings that right or wrong into your life. It's some sort of automatic. So why preach religion knowing it would establish guilt? Why establish that guilt? Meanwhile, if you let somebody loose, you let him just be without preaching it. You don't establish guilt because by establishing guilt, now he or she has to believe or go to hell. Why preach the gospel at all? Why preach the Quran? What's the objective? If fully well you know, as you said, that without it, there is no guilt established. Every man has the knowledge of good and evil embedded deep down within him or her. Every man. And if there will be a judgment day, all men, the holy books are unanimous on that, will be judged according to their deeds, not according to their religious affiliations, not according to their belief systems. So why establish guilt? Why preach? Whatever you're preaching, the Quran, the Bible, the Tanakh, the Vedas, the Tripitaka, why do it? And by so doing, establishing guilt in men. Why do it? Why don't you just leave the natural godly man be, with his conscience being his judge? I throw that at you all. And if you enjoy our content, always subscribe to the page, and we'll be glad if you share, comment, and like the video.